We often get asked, certainly during our whole IPO cycle, investors wanted to know, why can't other people do this? We have so many large technology companies, they certainly have the wherewithal to do what you do. So why you? Why do you have this unique moment in time opportunity to be this enduring entity on the landscape? And it's a fair question because these companies have tremendous resources. They've been around for a long period of time. History will show you that a lot of companies have emerged when long-term secular trends were set in play because they were new entrants. They came in with a clean sheet of paper. They had no encumbrances. They had a first mover advantage. And it has proven to be very, very difficult for general purpose players to go after design, purpose-built implementations that went after a specific problem. I also believe that the separation in time is incredibly important. In our particular situation, it took a long time for the incumbents in the industry to really get a good grasp what is going on here. We really fought the established economics of the industry. In storage, we live off of capacity. Heck, we love capacity. Data is growing, you need more storage. That's a good thing. So here we come really reducing the need for capacity. We're fundamentally an optimization technology. The industry doesn't take kindly to that. Customers do. So they resisted it, and they were hoping that this was going to go away. There was a bit of denial going on for a good period of time until this thing really blew wide open and everybody and his mother decided, oh my God, we better get a move on. So you've seen people partner, you've seen people make acquisitions. Every single large technology company on the planet right now has a story, has a play. Some of them have had multiple plays. They've had to revisit their entry into space over and over again because they haven't been successful in getting traction with it. We really like the fact that companies like NetApp and Cisco also were regarded as features in the early days and dismissed as being startups and they weren't going to be around. Well, guess what? They're still here, right, and kicking butt all over the place. So, my favorite saying is, babies become soldiers. They grow up and they start fighting back. So that separation in time is really important because time is all we've got. That's when we, get strong. That's when we mature, and that's when we evolve. And before you know it, you got a very large company to contend with in your space.
Are there lessons to be learned by looking at other historical or current successes and failures?
The Cisco example is actually an interesting one. Prior to Cisco, networks were owned by the system companies, right? The big system companies had networks. They worked fine, and there really was no need for a new vendor, except there was one problem. None of these vendors' networks interoperated, and none of them wanted to, right? So here came Cisco, right? They made it all work together, and it was a need that the users had. The vendors didn't have it, but the customer did. And the customer, of course, drove Cisco to the heights that it's now at. So the system companies fundamentally, were not willing to go against their own grain and open up their networks and create a generic, open to everybody type system because it fundamentally cannibalized the core business that they were in. Closed systems was the way people did things back then. So Cisco changed the landscape forever. We are trying to do the same thing to storage. We're trying to make optimization the core of storage rather than capacity, which is what the industry has fed on since time immemorial. So the same exact thing is happening right now. The incumbents are not going after the opportunity the way we are because they have existing franchises. We sometimes refer to them as profit sanctuaries to protect. Very, very difficult to chase data domain because if you really do what data domain does, you will really bite into the existing storage franchises that are holding up the business. History repeats itself, right? When Cisco was the startup, they challenged the status quo and they are who they are right now. Lo and behold, Cisco is now being challenged by startups. They don't have the first mover advantage and they have the exact same problem that the system companies had in their day. We see the same thing in our business. EMC challenged IBM very, very successfully for the high-end storage business, but now they are the incumbent and have difficult time to reacting to first movers in their space. Companies that come into new markets need to be very thoughtful and very careful about what opportunities they attack and which ones they don't, because they're not all created equal. We're not going to go after markets and opportunities where the incumbent is strongest. Right? We need to go for places that either aren't served because the problems aren't recognized, aren't understood, or we're going to places where things are very, very broken and they're being ignored for whatever reason. So we're going to go after markets where the effect of our core technology is most pronounced and most pervasive, because that's what we will be playing to our strength as opposed to somebody else's.